Hello, everyone, and welcome to There's Something in the Air. For Season 3, as it airs live, we're just doing quick reaction episodes to every episode as they air. I am unsure how quick this one will be, but I guess we will see. It can't be too long because I still have to edit my recap. I have a very demanding editor-in-chief, and she'll be very upset with me if I don't have that for her tonight. I'm just kidding. She told me I could be late. But nobody cares about any of that. I am Monica.
I am Michelle.
And we are joined by friend of the podcast, Heidi.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Insert excited noises here.
Just frantic meeping.
Just like the air horn thing that you see on like YouTube videos and shit.
Ah! That's what I was picturing, just flailing. So, I mean, we like having Heidi on all the time, but especially when there are mythology-heavy episodes, Heidi's just really our go-to person for really digging deep into that. It's funny, like, immediately after the episode aired, so I couldn't watch it live, but immediately after the episode aired, the three of us just started shouting at each other in our group chat.
And you think shouting doesn't, like, it's like, oh, through text, like, you know, shouting. No, there was, like, yelling.
It was pretty intense. It was very cool, and I was like, okay, guys, I'm at work, and I'm trying to finish up here. So that part sucked.
I liked when you dipped out randomly, and me and Heidi just kept yelling.
It was good. And, you know, I was reading it, I just couldn't respond, because I was trying to get out at a reasonable time.
Honestly, we could post that, like, the pictures of that DM and, like, not have to put a podcast up.
One of those pictures is making it into my recap, Heidi. I hope that's okay.
Am I involved in it?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's a picture of just you, weirdly, in my recap. It's gonna...
Yeah, we wrapped a snake around you.
Oh, no, that sounds perfect. I love it. Yes.
I'm
you were
assuming
making
that's the picture.
You were making these little noises that you sounded like a puppy? I don't know. It was...
Fuck you. Actually, that came up. That's like extremely relevant for me right now because I had mentioned to my mom that my dentist wanted me to do like the sleep apnea test thingamabob. This week I was talking to her and she's like, hey, did you ever hear back about that? And I'm like, sure, kinda. And they sent me a report and they said like, here's this sleep specialist you should see on like literally a Post-it note on the report. And my mom was, because she has sleep apnea, and she was telling me, she's like, no, you should go. You should definitely go. And I'm like, I don't have sleep apnea. And she's like, you don't know. And I was like, I don't snore. And she's like, you don't know because you are alone all the time. But then I pointed out that you guys, my friends, pointed out that I don't snore. I sound like a puppy who occasionally punches people.
You have sleep apnea.
Well,
and like conversation over. I was like, nope. People said that I don't snore. I sound like a puppy, and occasionally I'm violent in my sleep. It's no big deal.
Sleep punching.
Just remember that the next time you want to make fun of my snoring report.
The snoring report is very helpful.
The puppy thing is literally the most embarrassing part of any con I've been to.
I find that really hard to believe.
I have made an ass of myself many a times, but usually I'm conscious for it.
So you're saying the puppy noises is more embarrassing than not being able to speak.
Okay, it's second to that one time that one thing happened where I couldn't form words in front of Natasha Negavanlis.
Do you remember that one time you could form words in front of Natasha Negavanlis because you didn't know that you walked right by her?
I fucking hate you guys so much.
Do you remember that time that the three of us stopped being friends because you got real mad at us?
Oh.
Me too. That was fun.
When did this podcast become attacking me?
We recently made it a change from attacking me to attacking you. I'm sorry if you didn't approve that.
Are there any other attacks you'd like to launch my way while we're just sitting here?
None that I want to tell you about.
Oh, God.
See them as they go.
Whoa.
No, I don't think so. They're always unplanned, Michelle. Don't forget you have to unlock the screen door.
I don't think puppy snoring is an attack. It was kind of cute. I mean,
wait,
there's not cute snoring.
Just take my car.
The me not being able to speak thing wasn't horrific for everybody but me.
I wasn't there.
I thought it was great. I mean, I barely knew you for like just a couple hours, but I thought it was pretty amazing.
In my cleaning of my house, I actually found like a folder from Walgreens of pictures that apparently I printed at some point in time after that con.
It's very cool. The power of fandom is a crazy thing.
So, Wynonna Earp, there was an episode that aired on Friday, and a lot of shit happened, and there was a lot of mythology, and there was a lot of character shit, and eventually we should probably talk about that.
We really should. Anyway, so, Wynonna Earp.
Right, let me pull out my very limited notes, because I've completely forgotten about the episode in our discussion before we started recording. All right.
A lot happened.
I would like to start out by saying that when I was watching it live, and every subsequent time I watched it, when the Previously on package started and we opened with Widow Mercedes and Widow Beth, I jumped out of my seat cheering.
I was excited when I first saw this. I thought it maybe meant that we were going to get Danny fucking Kind. Or Megan fucking Heffern, because, like, who would see that shit coming? Sorry, random observation about Arpapalooza. Super sad to see that Danny Kind isn't coming, but holy shit, Nedley's going to be there.
Nedley.
Can we not talk about how Danny fucking Kind isn't going to be there? Because the only reason that I, like, justified not going to A-Con with myself was because Danny fucking Kind's going to be at Arpapalooza. And then she canceled, and I maybe had, like, a solid hour where I was very, 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 very upset and unhappy.
I gave up. I sold my autograph because I was like, I'll get it at Arpapalooza.
I just, like, it's just emotional devastation at the fact that she's not going to be there.
I got us way off topic, and I'm sorry. So
they were in the Previously on package.
Yes. I really liked Wynonna teaching Jeremy how to play pool, because it's such like a, let me teach you how to do that, little lady, except she was the one teaching him, and I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I like how they always flip the script.
Yeah.
This entire episode kind of flipped the script, because no matter what instance, the person saving somebody, whether it was like Doc being a fucking dipshit and like attacking Robin, we'll get to it, or like anything, it was that like the women were setting right the wrongs that the dumbass men on the show did, like without fail.
No, I agree.
The biggest plot point was Kate and Wynonna coming to an understanding that, like, I love Doc Holliday. Don't kill me, Doc Stash. I know that you're only a few hours away. But like, the Doc, like, fucked shit up, and both of them are cleaning up his mess retroactively. Like, he created a mess with Kate, he created a mess with Wynonna, and now they're both trying to clean it up.
And they're linked through him, and they always will be.
I also could watch an entire spinoff that was just Kate and Wynonna quipping at each other.
I could watch an entire spinoff that was just Kate. Traveling across the world, being a vampire, solving mysteries.
With tarot cards.
Great, love it, bring it on, I'm ready. Yeah. Like, I'm into it. Like, I love her character more and more each week. And
I didn't like her at first. Not for any reason, but like, it just, she was the bad guy. But now I'm sitting here and I'm like, if Kate killed everybody and just like won the show, I'd be here for it.
Like, for example, when they introduced Jeremy last year, it took me a little while to warm up to him. I have 100% warmed up to Jeremy now. Like, I really liked him, and I connected a lot with his character, and I really like his character growth this season, and I really love what they're doing with his relationship with Robin, and I think it's groundbreaking, and I think it's important. But anyway, my point is, it took me a little while to warm up to him. It did not take me nearly as long to warm up to Kate. Holy shit. And like, I do screenshots in my recaps, and so I've started making the match like lyrics, and I'll be like, all right, well, I'm taking this shot because it's gorgeous, even though I know I'm not going to be able to use it. So I have dozens, hundreds of pictures of Kate and also of Mama Earp.
And by hundreds, she means over 500.
It's possible. I have 350 of various things just from 307.
Yeah, no, it is over 500 easily.
I like Kate. I've liked her since the beginning, even though I hate vampires. It's just not my, like, preferred genre. I mostly try to pretend that I forget she's a vampire, and now I can't because Doc's a vampire too. But that's okay. No, I really like her. I just like that she's got so many layers too. Like they keep peeling them back, and we learn more and more. I don't still trust her entirely, but I like her.
No, well, I don't think I trust entirely any character on that show.
That's
Anyone.
true.
I mean, I don't like trust people in general, like without proof. So trusting Kate would be very out of character for me. My biggest like issue with the vampires on the show is my own personal, very odd thing. I don't like touching metals at all. And when they like vamp out, quote unquote, they get all like metallic on their teeth. And it makes me very uncomfortable because that means there's like metal in their mouths. And that it actually is my worst nightmare.
Huh. I never even thought of that with you.
Like, I don't touch change. I don't like touching metal at all. Because when you touch it, it oxidizes a little bit and it makes your hands smell. And it's the worst thing ever. In college, my roommate joined this engineering order thing. And they had to, like, polish this metal thingamabob. And, like, her hands turned green because she was holding the metal so long and it oxidized so much on her that, like, I could smell it from, like, feet away, and I stayed at somebody else's place.
I do think, sorry, I this is not new information to me. I just don't know how to react to it, so I'm just going to keep talking. Great.
That I'm insane about, like, touching change and stuff.
I don't think
Well,
you're
now I'm
insane.
I've seen you use silverware.
I know, but, like, it's been, like, a mental struggle over the past, like, few years to be okay with it. But yeah, that's literally the only issue I have with the vampires. Every single time they vamp out and they get all like metally toothed, I just can't. It makes me like physically like revolted by it.
I do think that the show has taken an interesting look on the vampire lore. Like, I think it probably was just for convenience that they're able to walk around in the sunlight. Mm-hmm. Because you can't have Doc walking around purgatory with a blanket over his head. He's not Spike. But, you know, and Doc was turned by Kate, and they didn't show him biting her back, right? Because isn't it normally that they have to share blood?
Not that I'm aware of. But like I said last episode, like, vampire lore in my brain used to be like a set thing because I had like read books. I like read about it online just to understand it. But then every like thing that's come up in pop culture that references vampires has taken the classical lore of a vampire and just shit all over it. Made up their own rules for their own reasons, for whatever. So like I was shocked when like they followed vampire lore in some aspect, because usually, at least in my experience, they don't at all. So, like, I can't tell you one way or another if that is a vampire thing, because everything's been so distorted by all of the crap that's come along.
Do you mean Twilight?
A significant part of it is Twilight, but also other things.
Okay.
There are no sparkly fucking vampires.
Right. I didn't think so. They live in the Pacific Northwest because there's less sun. I don't think I've seen all the movies, but I have read all the books. I'm embarrassed to admit.
I read all the books because when because when they came out, I was of the age where someone would read all of those books to fit in.
I am above that age, but I still read them all.
I read all the books. Some aspects of them actually helped me through hard times, so they like have a place in my heart. But also, they're the worst fucking books ever.
They're not great.
They are very detrimental to women everywhere.
Yes.
Because being in an abusive relationship is not a good idea. It's actually frowned upon. You shouldn't do it. Yeah. Anyway, wine and herb.
Yeah, we're really going off the rails.
We're still at the very beginning, too, aren't we?
Yeah.
I would just like to say, back to Winona, I appreciate that she trusted Jeremy with Bulshar's ring, because I feel like she was so mean to him after Dolls died. It made him feel like he wasn't a part of the team, and I thought giving him that ring said a lot, because obviously that's not something to trifle with. It's Bulshar's ring.
I feel like both her and Jeremy, well, Jeremy at the time realized that she was projecting her anger about dolls towards him because he was the easiest target. And I think she realized that with time. And I really, really, really love the fact that she ships Jeremy and Robin as much as I do. Like, I want them to, like, sail off into the sunset together because they're the cutest fucking couple. I love it. Every part of it. I'm here for it.
I agree. And I also think that they're a very important couple. Now, I am not as well-versed in gay male relationships on television as I am in queer ladies. But I feel like a lot of times when you see them, they're oftentimes sexual in nature, or like primarily sexual in nature, or, you know, someone is cheating with somebody else. Or it's more of a random hookup situation. It just doesn't feel like you get sort of a fairy tale storytelling, which is more what I feel like we're getting with them. And I just think that that's really cool. And then you throw in the fact that it's a person of color that's one of the people in the relationship. I just think that Robin and Jeremy's, I just think that it's groundbreaking. Like, it's a really big fucking deal. And I'm kind of surprised that more people aren't talking about that. And the fact that they had a storyline where 4 canon queer characters were sitting down to have a dinner together. Like, you have other shows that are like, oh, we can't make this person gay. We already have this one. Like, we travel in packs. That's what happens.
I 100% agree with you. I also am not an expert on gay male relationships on TV, but I watch a fucking lot of TV. Both Monica and Heidi can speak to. I watch just way too much TV. And in my experience, you never actually see 2 gay men or 2 queer men in a relationship that is kind of like that slowly falling into it story. Usually it's like a hookup or, you know, something, but this is just as like, it's just as adorable as like Waverly and Nicole trying to figure their shit out. It's that the 2 of them obviously being into each other and like slowly like navigating the waters and figuring out their relationship. And it's like, I've really never seen it. Maybe I'm wrong. Like, maybe it does happen a lot. I don't know. In the media that I consume, it doesn't. But it feels like it's groundbreaking because, at least for me, I've never really seen that. And then also the fact that like a show just like openly declared that a couple's dinner was a big gay dinner, like that's a big deal too. And the fact that we had 4 queers sitting there and like, Winona had her side plot with Charlie and Doc. That wasn't the main plot or that wasn't the main plot line of the story. Like, the story with the 4 queers was the one that drove the season-long plot forward. Like, take away your hero, take away her, you know, your Doc, take away the, like, what you presume to be the focal point of the season, throw them to the wayside, and you have these 4 queer characters moving forward the plot of the season in a way that hasn't happened in a few episodes. Like, for the past few episodes, we've kind of been crawling along. Like, we have, like, other stuff. We have Christmas, and we have other stuff going on. And here, they're just like, oh, yeah, let's just move this forward. And, like, fuck Winona, fuck Doc. Like, forget it. It's just going to be these guys. It was great. There are some people that don't necessarily love it, and I don't quite understand that because as far as storytelling goes, this was just a brilliant move.
I would agree with all that. I mean, the only like show I can think of that I have watched with like gay male rep is Queer as Folk, and
sure,
I feel like that hit all the stereotypes about gay males. So it is refreshing to see these like awkward, adorable men, you know, figuring things out with each other. I would just like to say I'm not watching the show for really any of the romantic relationships because I don't even care about that in my own life. So although I appreciate them and they're groundbreaking, I'm probably not going to have much to say about it. So I'm just going to throw that out there.
I also am not, I don't watch any shows specifically for relationships. I'm like, my entire deal is character development and like good storytelling. So if there are characters that are perpetually single, like it doesn't bother me. If there are queer characters that are perpetually single, like none of that bothers me because I'm just here for a good story. So I know there are people that are constantly upset about there not being enough like way hot, like quote unquote steamy scenes and whatnot, but like that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for like good character development and good storytelling and just like doing the characters justice. Like I don't need to see like softcore cable porn to understand that there are two characters in a relationship.
Right.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I love. Oh, sorry.
So no, go ahead, Heidi. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I agree. I love Way Hot, and I love Jeremy and Robin, and Jeremy's insecurities, and did I get ghosted? Does he not like me? What's wrong with me? Like, 'cause I know people go through that. Again, I literally, not me, because I just have zero interest in even any dating or whatnot. So, but to Michelle's point, I'm like, I actually don't mind seeing single queer characters because I'm like, well, that's me, and I'm not. So that kind of actually does represent me. But I'm not here for love scenes and all that. I'm the nerd who likes the mythology and the character development and learning more about the backstories and the curse and Kate's background and Doc's background and all that stuff. So that's what I'm here for.
I think that's part of the like amazing part of this show, because everybody is represented, and the people that are upset about not feeling that they're represented we're gonna lose so many goddamn followers. God damn it! Just because you don't feel you're getting represented, even though there's like a queer character, doesn't mean that somebody else isn't getting represented. So there are some people who prefer being single, and there's an entire spectrum. So just the fact that you don't see like two queer characters like getting it on your screen doesn't mean that like there is not good queer representation happening.
I also want to
makes any sense. Sorry.
It does. I want to say too, like, so I saw some pretty negative things this week, some comments, and I it was a little frustrating for me, and I expressed that frustration, and I got some even more negative comments replied back to me, both publicly and DMs, which, you're welcome to your opinion, certainly. But I do want to say that some of the stuff that I saw, some of the complaints, reminded me a lot of when they announced Ruby Rose as Batwoman. And issues with her acting aside, a lot of the complaints were that, queer women were excited about a woman to represent them, but that's not who they had in mind. Because she, kind of how I saw it, what people were saying, she almost wasn't, quote unquote, the right kind of queer. And a lot of the comments I saw were, it was said that this season was going to be gayer than ever. And, people assumed that meant with Way Hot. And instead, there's not, I don't want to say more of a focus, but as much of a focus on Jeremy and Robin's relationship. And the extremely negative things people were saying about Jeremy and Robin were disheartening to me, because I had more faith in my community that they realize, we're not the only queers out there. Just because it's men, I'm going to assume because it's men and not because it's a person of color. Just because it's two men doesn't mean it's not just as important to see on screen. I just don't think it's fair to be like, we want queer storylines, and the show to be like, here you go, and then the response to be, well, that's not what we meant. Well, too fucking bad.
Well, and gayer than ever doesn't mean we're suddenly not a sci-fi western and we're now a lesbian romance.
Right.
The
show's called Winona Earp, not Nicole Hot.
Would you
not Nicole Hot's shirt sleeves or Way Hot's, romantic fuck adventures. Like, that's not how it works.
I know that after 2016, the female identifying queer community was upset because everybody fucking died. Like, it was a bloodbath. It was not good. it was not good times, and it hurt me a lot personally. But ever since then, I personally have noticed a trend where because 2016 was so bad, that female identifying queer women have decided, in a sense, that because the 2016 debacle happened, that they deserve something. So, people ship Way Hot, they expect the show called Wynonna Earp to be basically Way Hot Hour. But that's not how storytelling works. Like, you can want something really, really badly, but that doesn't mean you're going to get it or that you deserve it. Ultimately, the decisions a story makes is based off of who is telling the story. And you don't need to agree with it. You don't need to like it. And you can stop consuming that story. But people thinking that Way Hot is the most important thing of Wynonna Earp, it isn't really doing justice to the show that we're watching. Like, they're giving queer males as much representation as they've given queer females. Like, Jeremy and Robin is an adorable couple, and I would love to see more of them because they're just so awkward and so adorable, and it's just like squishy feelings all around. And I hate squishy feelings, but I'm okay with it in this case. And it's like great storytelling, and like having a big gay dinner where it's a female couple and a male couple having dinner together and calling it Big Gay Dinner. Like, that's groundbreaking. You don't see that ever. So having them just like openly be like, yep, we're doing this. We're having a couple's dinner and we're all just queer as fuck. It's a huge deal. So people who are upset that they're not getting like the Way Hot Hour, I personally, not speaking for the rest of the people on this podcast, I feel like they need to get a heavy dose of perspective. Because if you want equality and representation in media, you need to understand that equality means equal for every single identity. So it's going to be male, female, female, and like everything in between. That's what equality means. So don't hate on the show because they have a gay male couple.
Again, you can reach Michelle at Micknick1291.
Don't hate this podcast. Hate me personally.
Well, but also, I mean, saying it's gayer than ever. I mean, look at all the little ways, though. Like, you have Waverly casually coming out to her mom, who she hasn't seen in years, and her mom's like, all right. There's no big, horrible fallout. It's acceptance. You have, Wynonna going to bat for their relationship to her fireman, whatever's going on there, right? She's ready to throw down when she thinks he's going to be a homophobe. You have a lesbian who the retiring sheriff wants to be the new sheriff. And then again, you have Wynonna going to bat for her against the town bigot. Like, you have all these other little things that, they're not way hot sexy times, but there are all these little things that are helping, all the viewers who are not way hot shippers, because there are other people that watch the show that aren't even just lesbians, right, or queer people. And they're giving us all these little things that just make us regular people.
Every part of the show is speaking towards equality, especially with regards to sexuality. Like, no part of the show is saying that any sexuality is wrong. Like, they're supporting everybody in every way possible. Like, Wynonna ships Jeremy and Robin so hard. Like, every single part of the show is great. Like, Waverly coming out to her mom needing a second to digest and just being like, invite Nicole over for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the show is just like, they're not being judgmental against anybody. And that's kind of what makes it as groundbreaking as it is.
But
I will stop now.
But you also don't, I'm going to keep going. You also have a queer lady relationship, and the only time you see the main character's sister's girlfriend on screen isn't when she's fucking her girlfriend. Like, that's a big deal. She has an entire life separate of Waverly. I personally think that representation and that character development is way more important than, than quote unquote sexy times with Way Hot. Like, you have Nicole, who has a huge bro TP with Winona. She's very obviously friends with Jeremy. She, Nedley is like her fucking father, and I just got goosebumps when I said that. I don't know, maybe she goes to Sunday dinners with her and Chrissy Nedley, and she's like, hey, Chrissy, hide the chloroform.
Hey, Chrissy Nedley.
Don't know. What?
Hey, Chrissy Nedley, how you doing?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I had dinner with your ex-boyfriend yesterday. She has all this stuff going on. That's huge. She's not just... They didn't make her Tara. Sorry, Heidi, I know you didn't watch Buffy, but, Tara's...
I have a metaphor in a second. Continue.
Tara's entire first 2.5 seasons, she was just Willow's girlfriend that Dawn also liked. And that was it. I mean, she's a fully developed character who very obviously has backstory. I am excited to see it. I don't feel that she is the most important character of the show. Perhaps I'm in the minority. Well, I feel like everybody's important, but maybe the one that the show is named after is more important.
Yeah, no, the show's called Winona Earp, so ultimately it maybe sorta could possibly, I don't know, be about Winona Earp. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. The way that I have in the past 4 or 5 years, I've become obsessed with analyzing TV. And the one trend that I've seen through all of the media that I've consumed is that a love interest tends to be a tertiary character that is orbiting one of your characters as a love interest. So you have your main character and you have somebody else who's just orbiting them and is only really there for that other character. So usually Nicole would just be orbiting around Waverly and only being there with regards to Waverly. But in Winona Earp, she is her own fucking planet. She's her own character. She's not orbiting Waverly. She has her own chunk in this plot. She's important. She was a survivor of Bulshar's massacre. And that alone, it doesn't matter queer or not. That's groundbreaking in itself, because normally a love interest is just there as a love interest and doesn't reflect remotely on the plot of the story. So seeing her where she has an integral role, or she is, has some point, interacted with the main plot line is something I've never seen before. And I know I haven't watched all the TV ever, but it is a very rare occurrence.
So we actually went off on several tangents there, but I think they were good. And I think they're all true. I get very frustrated when I see complaints that, I don't want to sound whatever, but just because I don't think them doesn't mean they're real. I don't mean that, but I feel like you can't complain that a show isn't gay enough if you have right now 3 main characters who are queer, and one of them has a boyfriend that they just introduced this season, and they're all part of the plot. None of them are tertiary characters right now. Everybody's moving it forward. And I think what Winona Earp is doing in terms of queer rep is important and is groundbreaking.
Basically, if this whole first part of this episode, where we're not talking about the episode at all, but instead just voicing off, if you hate that, please just DM me specifically and shout all of your hatred at me.
You will share it with me, though. Have you gotten a lot of negative feedback that you haven't told me about?
I actually haven't gotten any, which is really surprising.
Yeah, I didn't think you had. No one's going to DM you and complain. They'd rather subtweet you or go on some, random chat website and complain. You know what I mean?
The thing is that I want the hate. Tell me what you don't like.
You're weird.
I really do thrive off of negative feedback. It is weird.
We are opposite. You heard it, everyone. Michelle likes to be screamed at. Just a reminder, ladies, she's single.
My final thought would be Nicole is one of my favorite characters.
Oh, shit.
And
Sorry,
you guys are laughing, but no, I'm more interested in learning Nicole's story than having screen time taking up on a love scene. Nicole, season 1 Nicole wasn't one of my favorite characters. Season 3 Nicole is my top 2. Winona and Nicole, I would say, are my favorite characters right now. It changes all the time, but I'm like thrilled that we're learning so much about her. So, anyways.
The amazing thing about having relationships on TV is that if you have a relationship that is happy without any conflict, they're just blissfully like running off into the sunset, they can't actually be on your TV because that's not compelling TV. That's boring. So if you want your quote unquote ship to be on TV, there needs to be some sort of drama because that's the way that like TV and stories are told. Like the compelling stuff is the drama. Like, would you honestly watch like 13 episodes of Way Hot just being mushy together? Like, you need drama because that's the basis of TV, movies, literally any story, there needs to be some sort of drama. So, like, Way Hot having some sort of drama, even though the fact that, like, it's not about their relationship, like, their relationship is solid, they're together, but the drama is because of Nicole's childhood or whatever. Like, there needs to be drama. Otherwise, you will never see them on TV at all. Never. Won't make it.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I just feel very strongly about this because I've seen, like, too many fandoms fall into the trap of wanting a ship to be on screen, happy all the time. But that's not compelling storytelling. It's just not how stories work. The basis of telling a story is drama, and if everybody's happy, like, there's nothing to tell.
So Big Gay Dinner was fun. We were a fan of that.
I like how I'm destroying this podcast.
You're not. It's fine.
Big Gay Dinner was weird.
Was weird?
Yeah. I mean, the concept
was
of it
potato
was fun,
licking.
but the actual dinner was weird.
Oh, yeah. It was pretty. It was, yeah.
Hey, you guys, remember when we thought that Melanie Scrofano licked a potato, but it wasn't really Melanie Scrofano?
I never thought that was Melanie Scrofano.
I thought it was Kate McKinnon. So
I didn't. How did you never tell us that?
Oh, I tweeted about it, like, with a Kate McKinnon picture. I'm like, this is Kate McKinnon. I don't care what anybody says.
I really liked Melanie's Instagram. That was a side-by-side of, like, the guy who plays Robin and her in, like, a pool in a suit. And it looks so identical. And her asking, like, how could you ever think that we were the same person?
That was pretty funny.
The debate about the potato was probably the best part of season 3 thus far.
I actually feel in every episode, Robin, to me, looks different. Like, there's one episode I thought he looked like he had more dirty blonde hair, and then I swear this week, his hair looked like dark brown. And I'm like, maybe my eyes don't work, or I don't know, maybe he's turning into a tree, and his hair's changing colors.
He's definitely turning into a tree. 100%. He's turning into a fucking tree.
So that's probably not... Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, so, like, when I look at him as the potato licker, and then I look at him, like, the first episode we saw him, I'm like, those don't look like the same people to me. I don't know.
I'm sorry, every single time people casually just throw potato licker into a conversation, it makes me laugh so much.
It's, like, probably not great that he can hear Bulshar, right?
No.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I said when he got, like, that whole Bulshar seed thing shoved down his throat and then got, like, partially at least stuffed full of plant fertilizer. Like, he couldn't come out unscathed, right?
No.
Mm-mm. Yeah, and I got nothing. I don't even have any really good theories on Bulshar and these trees. It's the weirdest thing ever. I can't figure out what he's doing with trees and making murder trees. I'm like, I don't understand.
Aside from Bulshar stealing Megan's hat so blatantly, I don't quite have a feel on what he's doing either. Although based off of what Robin was, like, ranting in the barn, like, the trees aren't here for it.
No.
Like, Bulshar's just a dick all around. Nobody likes him.
Is he trying to make a new tree of knowledge in the garden? The tree of knowledge is...
Oh, you guys just got biblical. I will come back in 25 minutes. Goodbye.
No,
or is he trying to use the trees to find it?
Maybe. Like, if the trees talk to each other.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Because the whole thing when he said he tasted rotten, like, I went and did because my Catholic background did not prepare me to know anything about the Garden of Eden, except the basics, fruit, naked people, snake, bad things happen. But supposedly, after they ate the fruit from the tree of knowledge, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So there's two trees. There's the tree of life, and then there's I got notes somewhere, the tree of knowledge, and that's the only tree they were told not to eat from in the whole garden.
There are 2 trees?
Yeah, the tree of life. Yeah. Tree of life, supposedly it's in the middle of the garden, it's not forbidden, and then the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And that was the forbidden one, because that's basically, they say it's not a literal tree, it's like all of, God's knowledge of everything.
Sorry, I'm just going to mute myself again. My ignorance is showing through. I just didn't realize there was more than one tree.
But, so, supposedly, right, Eve ate the fruit, and then she gave it to Adam, and he ate it. And then they got banished, but supposedly, too, the ground they were on became cursed. And so I was like, well, maybe he's using the other trees to find, I don't know, the cursed ground? I don't know. I got nothing on these trees. It's weird.
I have no theories. I don't understand. I'm just content to sit back and let Melanie tell me what's happening. Not Melanie. Well, Melanie, but also Emily. That's what I meant. I meant Emily.
Yeah. I mean, I have some theories on the garden itself.
Tell me.
And some other stuff, but I don't have feelings on why the hell Bulshar makes trees.
Tell us your garden theories.
Okay. It starts with the greenhouse, okay? It gets the greenhouse. So, back in that Jolene episode, when they're at the greenhouse, I thought that it was a weird greenhouse, right? Because have you ever been in a greenhouse?
Yes.
I mean, every greenhouse that I've ever been in has been, like, for the purpose of being a greenhouse. Like, there's, just tables and tables of plants. But the Gibson greenhouse is full of fountains and statues, and I'm like, you're taking all this space that you would normally use for, growing things in the greenhouse, and you've got there's 3 or 4 fountains in the middle of it, and then the angel statue. And I just thought, my first watch, I thought that was weird, because I was like, that's more like, I don't know, that's more like the area where you put the plants to sell them, looks like, because you're trying to appeal to the public, but not like the greenhouse where you're growing them. So now after last night's episode, or not last night, Friday's episode, I started thinking about it more. And so Mama said she would go to the greenhouse, right, to get away, and that Julia knew how to follow. Well, what does that mean? Like, did she see him outside of the greenhouse, or did she only ever see him at the greenhouse? Where did she meet him? Like, did she meet him there? And then Waverly was born in the greenhouse, supposedly. I'm still not convinced that Waverly was born to Mama Earp.
I agree.
But it still happened in the greenhouse, right? So did she go, saying Mama did give birth to her, did she go to the greenhouse because that's the only place she knew to find Julian? And she's like, I'm going to labor. I need to find him? I don't know. I think it's just weird. Then the flashbacks, even Bobo's flashback to the greenhouse, I mean, maybe it was just because they're flashbacks, but they have that, ethereal quality to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just looked otherworldly. And I don't know if, in the other flashbacks, the Land on the Earth haven't looked like that, right? And so my theory now is, what if the greenhouse is on what would be the Garden of Eden? And that Julian, if he is a literal angel, so after Adam and Eve were banished from the garden, now this is just research I did because I am not some biblical scholar, so this could totally be wrong, and I don't even have my sources to cite, just Google searches. But supposedly what I read was that an angel with a flaming sword was sent to the entrance of the Garden of Eden to protect it once those two were banished from it, to protect the tree of knowledge. So what if the entrance to the Garden of Eden is somehow located on the Gibson property in this stupid greenhouse, and that's the only place she ever had interactions with Julian because he's the angel? I don't know. But then he's not in purgatory anymore, so I have nothing there, but that's some wild theory I threw out there.
Well, we don't know that he's not in purgatory anymore. That's just Bobo Del Shit.
It's Bobo.
Yeah, Bobo Del Shit said it, but I don't know. I like that you came to the conclusion that maybe the garden, or maybe everyone is full of shit.
Maybe what?
everybody's full of shit. Like, maybe everybody's lying. Maybe, like, the garden isn't here. Maybe the garden is here. Who knows? Nobody on the show is trustworthy.
Correct.
No.
Everyone has their own
Mama's
agenda.
never confirmed it was an angel.
Correct.
Mama's never confirmed it. She either deflects, or she either won't answer it, or she deflects. Like when Doc's like, well, what's it like to be with an angel? And she just said, what's it like to be with a demon? But she didn't confirm that she was with an angel.
So my crazy theory is that Mama Earp is Lilith, who is Adam's first wife. And I don't know a ton about her mythology. That was not the kind of theology degree I received. I can tell you a lot about Vatican II. But Lilith was, very simplified, a demon who was known for stealing babies and refused to be subservient to Adam. So that's why their relationship didn't work out. And, not willing to be subservient kind of screams Michelle Earp to me. And stealing babies?
Did you say Michelle? What?
Yes. Stealing babies? What if she took Waverly? What if she, Bobo said that she had lost a lot of blood. What if it was from a fight and not from childbirth?
What if that's just bullshit? Because in that flashback, she's all like, hey, protect her, take the baby. Like, she doesn't look like somebody who just gave birth to a baby by herself and lost a lot of blood.
Bobo was the midwife. Those are my two working theories.
I don't think she gave birth. So your theory, yes, could totally be accurate.
I know I'm reaching.
I'm sitting here, like, repping all the Michelles out there. Like, she definitely was able to, like, give birth, get up, and, like, do whatever the fuck she needed to do because Michelles are fucking badasses. I say, as I, like, wish that I was as badass as I imagine Michelle Earp to be.
Like, we could talk about this for hours, I think. But, like, whatever.
There are so many aspects of this episode we haven't touched upon.
And maybe won't, because I need. Yeah.
Right. Well, here's my other. Okay, so I had already thought Waverly was more like a phoenix. That was a theory I was going with. So I just want to throw this out here as I was doing my research on the Garden of Eden. I found a site that said that its mythology said the phoenix actually originates from the Garden of Eden, and that when there was a rose bush beneath the tree of knowledge, and a beautiful bird was born in this bush. And that when Adam and Eve were banished from the garden and God sent the angel with the flaming sword, that a spark from his sword fell into the nest and set the bird on fire. The bird died, but an egg remained, and the egg hatched, and the first phoenix was born, or the only phoenix was born. And then every century it dies and is reborn. And so then part of me was like, well, what if the Garden of Eden is in the greenhouse? Like, what if that theory still holds true? And Mama Earth didn't give birth to Waverly because Waverly was like the phoenix being reborn at the end of its century. And that's why Ward called it a thing and not a baby. Because a phoenix can take a human form as a form of disguise. So that's my other theory I'm throwing out there.
That could totally be true. Anything could be true.
That's the great thing about this show, honestly. They could show up next week and it's like, oh, just kidding. Bulshar is God, and Waverly is the devil, and Nicole Hott is Adam. And we're all like, oh man, how didn't we see this coming?
In no world could Bulshar be God, because God doesn't steal amazing hats from people. I'm sorry, I'm very hung up on the fact that he stole Megan's hat.
What if all of the crazy right-wing Christians are wrong, and it really was Adam and Steve all along, and it's Jeremy and Robin?
I love it. I feel so strongly about this fucking hat situation. It's like he stole my This Simulation Sucks hat and wore it himself. Like, I have a lot of feelings. I also had a nightmare about my hats.
Oh.
Dude, you guys, we didn't even talk about the episode.
We kind of did.
The ring, the tarot cards. Who keeps tarot cards, first of all?
When Bulshar opened his book to bring up Clutie, very dehydrated Clutie, was that text actual text, or was it just something the prop department came up with?
It was actual
Oh,
text.
it's
I saw.
already translated. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's already translated? Okay,
it.
perfect.
Hebrew,
that-
I think.
Was it Patricia who tweeted about it?
It was. I saw somebody tweet, but they weren't somebody I follow, and I follow her.
Okay.
Somebody send me that link because I'm curious. Because I spent hours upon hours attempting to learn Sumerian to translate shit from Carmilla. So, like, just send me the link so I don't have to waste my time. What else do I have? Where did Bulshar find Constance's head?
It's in the fireplace.
Yeah.
Like Kate handed it over to
in the
him?
house? Well, the other vamps were there first. They were all there.
So they just left Constance's head in the fireplace? Just like
Also,
chilling?
Do you think that weapon that they gave her is what Tucker used to saw off her head?
No. Tucker isn't that creative.
That weird saw-looking thing. Like, why else? I don't know.
That saw thing was fucking badass. Like, Tucker couldn't have come up with it. He is not that creative. He's just like a dweeby perv asshole.
You're not wrong.
And I don't even think she needed it because she was on a mission. She went to the bar and she went right to the tarot table. She went to the Gardner mansion. She went right to the tarot cards. Peaced out when she didn't find what she wanted. So I think it was just a weapon to protect her if she couldn't get to where she needed to go.
Fair.
She wasn't trying to hurt anybody unless they got in her way. When the ring appeared, that's when she turned around in the barn and was like, "Ooh, hell, somebody's got that ring," and then came back. Anyway.
True. My next note is that Doc's pride is annoying. He should just eat what Kate brought him. And then I quoted My Favorite Murder and said, "Toxic masculinity ruins the party again." Because fucking Doc, if he just ate the goddamn whatever douchebag she brought, wouldn't have Robin being fucking bitten by an albino squirrel.
Yeah, I wonder if that albino squirrel is important. Like, they have us so paranoid now. Because so many lines that seemed like they were one-offs, they go back to, and now we're like, well, they looked left instead of right. Do you think that means something?
Yeah, now I'm like, I gotta go watch the whole thing again and see if there's any talk about freaking gardens and, yeah.
My fun note is that Robin being nervous for the big gay dinner is adorable and amazeballs. It's just so nice to see, like, something kind of normal, like going to family dinner with your new, like, significant other, or maybe significant other. And the fact that the, like, Waverly and Nicole are Jeremy's family.
It was sweet.
Oh, yeah, and that was interesting what we learned about him. That he was in a car crash and trapped for 3 days with his dead mom.
My next note is, why does Doc have doll's dragon eyes?
I mean, I guess that's part of his vamping, right?
But no other vampire has shown that. It's just him, and that's definitely the special effects they use for dolls.
Mm-hmm.
Details.
Yeah, it's fine. It looks cool.
Let's just gloss over that detail. I love the quote that Jeremy threw at Doc when he had almost, killed his maybe boyfriend. If this is you making things right, no wonder Winona's moving on. And then Doc's response of, "So am I, out of use."
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Oh yeah, no. Doc is having so many crises at once that it's overwhelming. Like, he went to Kate because he wanted his immortality because he was hurting because Winona rejected him. But on another level is that he wanted to be able to help the fight. But this show has shown time and again that, like, Doc isn't the hero. Like, he'll shoot and it'll, like, backfire, or he'll miss his target or whatever, because the show isn't about Doc Holliday. It's about Winona Earp. So no matter what he does, he's never the hero he wants to be. So him turning into a vampire to try and, like, A, give himself the immortality he wants so badly, and then B, also, like, give him the opportunity to be the hero he wants to be, makes complete sense. But it's so on brand with this show to not grant him either. Like, he's never going to be the hero, if that makes sense.
He's never going to stop trying, though.
No, I mean, he'll turn into a goddamn vampire to try, but it'll never work.
I still don't think he did that for purely selfless reasons, but, whatever. But it was nobody coerced him into it, and he may have told himself it was because he was doing it to help other people, but he did it. He made that decision himself, and he chose to do it. No one else is to blame. Not Winona, not
He made
Kate.
that decision for 100% selfish reasons. And every subsequent explanation of it that he's had has been just like him grasping at straws. And like this episode is no different, but it's interesting when he admits that he's not useful. Like he wants his immortality, but then he admits that like without it he's kind of useless, and he can't reconcile that with himself. Another thing that I really I don't like Charlie personally. I liked him right up until the moment he said that he was like Lego Batman, because Lego Batman is a douche. Like, he's the fucking worst. Nobody wants to be Lego Batman.
I don't like him because I don't trust him. He seemed genuinely surprised when Constance walked in the bar. Like, what is that? But he just seems way too comfortable with Doc being a vampire and, like, understanding, like, oh, you're hungry. You need to eat. Oh, here's a bag of blood. Like, I don't know. There's something there.
There's definitely something going on. I don't know. There was a snake in the Garden of Eden. What if it's him?
I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. He could get you to eat the apple in his little goofy, unassuming,
Riley Finn
that's what the snake did. The snake was...
Every single time anybody references Riley Finn, like, I hate Riley Finn, but he's from Iowa and I live there, and I feel this, like, tiny spark of defensiveness, and then I smother it because, like, no, it's fucking Iowa.
Like Heidi was saying, the snake was very charming and talked Eve into doing something. And Charlie really, now Eve made her own decisions, don't get me wrong. And Charlie seems to know the right things to say. I just, obviously there's something else going on. I don't know. Ooh, and I just remembered that we haven't even seen Anna Silk's character yet.
Oh my God.
Nope. Well, and Charlie, I can't figure it out. Silk. Because they go to the restaurant, he's like he's acting like he's brand new to Purgatory, which we think he is, but then he's all like, oh yeah, Nicole told me this, Nicole told me that. Well, what, Nicole, was she out hanging out with Charlie? Like, they're not in the same, profession, so they're not seeing each other at work. So how is Nicole and Charlie, he makes it seem like they're pretty chummy, like, oh yeah, Nicole told me all about, something about last episode when they're in the fire truck, and he mentioned, like, Nicole told me this about you.
Charlie is full of shit, period.
Well, yeah, but it's just weird to me. It's like, you didn't know this was a restaurant in Purgatory, but you're, like, buddy-buddy with Nicole. Like, how long have you been here? I don't know. There's something I don't think that's going to end well. But I don't like that Charlie said you have butter on your chin, because it made me think of Dolls telling her she had powder on her nose, and I was like, you don't get to come in and tell her she has butter on her chin.
It also wasn't on her chin.
No, it was on her lip. That drove me nuts.
It bothered me so much. I was like, that's not chin, that's all lip.
Whatever.
Well, it bothered me that I'm like, you're not the core four. Like, you don't get to come in and say cute things like that.
I did, and then I was like, oh, a bouquet of breadsticks. I guess that's nice. But also, Charlie, tread carefully in this fandom. We don't care much for bread.
LOL.
And
thank you.
They weren't even like wrapped.
Welcome.
They weren't even like wrapped in something. So they've been out in the cold.
Like, it's just
winter.
wasted food. And
they're
so
did
Kate talk to him? Is she running a bread delivery service now? Like, did she bring them to the house?
So weird. She's Uber Eats.
Tara doesn't pay the bills.
Kate was so fucking baller in this episode. Like, Winona busts into her, not really actually Mercedes' house, with her gun drawn, and Kate's like, oh, fuck no, bitch. And she has her own gun and fires first. And then they have a standoff. She disarms Winona. And then Winona pulls out a fucking knife, and Kate's like, ugh, this is so juvenile, and pulls out a bigger fucking knife. I would like to point out, though, that Winona brought a knife to a gunfight, and it needed to be equalized, but Root could bring a knife to a gunfight and easily win, as she has proven multiple times. Okay, I'm done.
Winona is no Root, for better or for worse.
Root is the best.
Directly to her DMs, everyone. Just McNick1291. We should probably think about wrapping up soon. What other major things did we want to hit? I do want to say I loved Kate in this episode. She was great. Loved her so much.
Yeah, she was awesome.
Okay.
I like how, I just want to say I like how it started out as them as, like, in conflict, and then they sort of ended with an understanding. I like when they put down Constance, and when Bulshar is a dick, he just left her standing in the field waiting for her next command. He was just going to leave her there forever, I'm sure.
I really loved the scene where Winona puts Constance down, because it's two like strong badass females understanding that this like poor, like, she was an enemy, she was their adversary, but she's also just like a cog in the machine of basically what the patriarchy is. Like, Bulshar is just a patriarchal motherfucker, and poor Constance was a pawn of that machine, and being able to put her out of her misery so that she didn't have to, serve this fucking douchebag anymore was a very gratifying scene to see. So much of the show is just them pointing out how fucking stupid patriarchal bullshit is, and this was just like a spot on, like, targeted, perfect execution of that point. A nit to pick that I had that we can move past very quickly was that when Charlie ripped off Constance's hand and threw it at the holy water soaked rope ring, like, it didn't break the circle. It just, like, moved the circle. In fact, it made it smaller. It made the circle smaller. Like, Doc shouldn't have been able to jump out of it because the circle wasn't broken.
Oh, I thought it moved the rope enough that it opened a little bit in the back.
I don't think it did.
Okay.
I might be wrong.
Speaking of that ripped off arm, so they ripped off her arm and then I guess shoved it in the back of the trunk with them. And I thought it was adorable, by the way, that, like, Doc was like, Charlene is great. And so what if she didn't pass her emissions test? I thought that was, I really liked that line.
I love that.
And then, Constance takes off and she's holding in her left hand the right hand that they had pulled off, and it's giving them the finger. Like, that was amazing.
That is the fucking best visual of the episode. Dehydrated, beheaded Constance flipping them the bird as she drives off.
Amazing.
Yeah. I want that. I want the spin-off with her and Kate, because they're in the same time period. Like, how the hell did she end up marrying Clootie and having demon babies? I want both of I want them both in that spin-off.
I just want personally to have a moment in my life that equates to holding your, like, dismembered hand, flipping them the bird as you drive away in a stolen car. Like, I need something that badass in my life.
All right, Michelle, I guess we'll make that happen.
Right after you snore like a puppy.
This episode, is there anything else either of you want to touch on?
Last thing is just that damn ring.
Oh, right?
I think it's definitely Waverly's. I don't think it's been following Nicole. I think if it's been following Nicole, it's because Nicole and Waverly are linked. She's kind of a protector. But I don't think it's Bulshar's ring. I think Bulshar ended up with it because of whatever power it has. He wanted it. But I think it's definitely Waverly's ring, which means it's probably something to do with her parents. My last thing, who kept the card? Well, Doc kept the cards, but Doc's been in a well. So where the hell were those cards? How does he still have them now? And how did Bulshar know that somebody kept those cards? I'm like, what?
Well, he's a demon, so he knows stuff.
Bulshar, honestly, Doc and those cards is, for me, it's like a big, giant opportunity for a plot hole, because Kate knew that he took them. Bulshar knew that he took them. He was attempting to hide them, but as we know, Doc is not stealthy at all. So, like, the fact that he kept it hidden for as long as he quote unquote did is kind of a miracle. But sure, why not? Yeah, totally, show.
I guess we have to assume that he had his stuff somewhere for 150 years and he got that box back.
with
it
his
wasn't in the well with him.
balloons in the well.
Yeah. Well, because I was trying to figure out the timeline between, because it felt like to me that she didn't recognize the sheriff and that Doc didn't seem to recognize him as the sheriff. So I was like, well, he said he's the sheriff. And what is the timeline between that happening, they meet, then they go carousing around all these other places, swindling people and drinking and gambling. And then they're back in purgatory, and then she leaves, and then obviously if Constance's sons have been killed, that's the same time as like the Winona's walkabout, and they're about to put Clutie in the ground and Doc in the well. I'm like, what's the time frame here? Like, I don't know. Anyway.
I think that
like, he kept those cards for a while because they got married and then they went, like, historically, they went traveling around gambling and.
Like, were Kate and Doc formally married, or was it like a common law marriage? And then also, when the shit went down with Bulshar and his tarot reading, were they in purgatory, or was it while they were traveling? Because Kate says that they were traveling from city to city, and that's why she wanted to leave, because it wasn't like a permanent life situation. It was just kind of like life on the road.
Right.
So were they in purgatory when that happened? Or did it happen, Doc stole the cars, and then they eventually made their way back to purgatory? Or did they never make their way back to purgatory, and Doc just kind of like trickled off from, life with Kate to go back to purgatory to die?
Yeah, that's what I don't know, because Kate left, but then she comes back, but she's clearly back in purgatory because she runs into Constance, and she's like, where is he? And then you find out her sons have been killed, and then she gave Doc immortality and put him somewhere nobody will ever find him. So that means, at this point, Clutie's been also entombed because that happened before Doc got put in the well.
Moral of the story of everything that we have discussed is that Bulshar's toxic masculinity ruined everything.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
All right, I'm good.
And continues to ruin everything. And, I realize she's a dehydrated, charred zombie of a being, but how he treated Constance in this episode was extremely disturbing. Go do my bidding, and then I'm gonna leave you. Fuck you, man. You really are a bag of deflated dicks.
Just, one last... I'm gonna keep saying this. God damn it. One last thing is, what Kate said about Constance, about being able to choose your own end, is, a power in itself. The fact that Constance got to decide that, I'm not doing this fucking shit anymore. I'm gonna let the Earp air just put me down and put me out of my misery. That's actually very powerful. Being able to decide your own fate and being I accept that this is going to happen is it almost transcends everything else the show has done. It's basically, it's like a person's right to choose what happens to them. So
I agree, and I wonder if we'll see a flashback to that with how Kate ends up, leaving, not necessarily dying, but leaving. Or I wonder if we'll see Kate choose how Kate's story ends.
Yeah, I think that this was just the first step in the show touching upon the topic of a woman's right to choose, because the show doesn't, dance away from any fucking topic. They just rush on.
It really does.
Damn the consequences.
Yes, I agree. I am going to wrap things up here then, if that's okay.
Yep. But I'll end by saying I'm really nervous that the ring burned Nicole, or started to burn for her. I don't know what that means, but it makes me nervous.
I think it just started to burn because Constance came in. I don't think it was that Nicole had it.
Holy shit. Either somebody just blew up a bomb in my city, or somebody set off a major firework. My house just shook. What the fuck?
Well, Michelle's still with us. I'm gonna wrap us up here. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you made it this far, congratulations. You get a medal from us. It's in the mail. Just should be there any day. As always, we appreciate all of your support, and we hope you had a good time. Opal's losing her shit, so really gonna try and do this quickly. If you want to find us on the Twitter, you could find us at ErpsplainPod. If you want to find our website, that is ErpsplainPod.com. You can find all of our contact information there, as well as links to some other stuff like our Patreon and probably some other shit. Whatever, you just go there, it's fun. If you are looking for me on the Twitter, I am Lesbianzer. Michelle is McNick1291 on Twitter. And Heidi, you want to tell them where they can find you online?
Twitter, HiDizzle20.
I was podcasting a few minutes ago. What happened?
You're fine. I told them where to find you.
Okay, perfect, because Opal was kind of panicking.
Right. I think that's it. If you want to listen to us, you can subscribe to us on iTunes or Google Play or Stitcher, and maybe Spotify. You can find us too. Is that right?
Yep, we're on all of them.
That's
If there
pretty
isn't a platform you can find us on, let me know, because I am on a goddamn mission, even if I despise the terms and conditions of the fucking services.
Apple.
We're on fucking YouTube now. It took me years.
Many, many thanks to Michelle for uploading all of those to YouTube. Really, you can find us just about anywhere. If you want to leave us feedback, that would be nice. You can rate us via stars or leave us some word feedback over on iTunes. And until then, thanks for listening. And it may be a shit show, but it's our shit show.